This is a huge offseason for the Washington Commanders, how they can capitalize on having Jaden Daniels on his rookie deal and a lot of cap space moving into this offseason to try to duplicate a year that they had going to the NFC Championship game and falling just a little bit short. Now they have to address a lot of their key free agents and hopefully help solidify their roster by adding some free agents across the league that can help them before the draft starts. Couple of the key guys I would like to address. I think offensive line, we've got to look at the offensive line. There's some good offensive tackles out there. Ronnie Stanley, number one, a left tackle from Baltimore. If you could add a left tackle of his stature, maybe you can move Brandon Coleman inside the left guard, and you can help solidify that offensive line a little bit and protect Jaden Daniels' blind side for many years to come. The other guy I was looking at is a strong safety, TJ Hufanga from San Francisco. I know he's missed 2 years of football, but this guy's only 26 years old. He can play in the box. He's a ball hawk. He's a big play guy in the secondary that I think Washington desperately needs. He's a turnover creating machine when he's healthy. Now, obviously, you got to talk to your trainers and find out the health status of this kid, but he is a hell of a player when healthy, and he's only 26 years old. He's got a lot of football in front of him, and I think that'd be a great addition to the secondary. Now we also have to address, I believe, the edge pass rushing situation. Is Dante Fowler coming back? If you pay Dante Fowler and he comes back, fine. If not, there's a couple pass rushers. Obviously, the trade for Myles Garrett would be outstanding, but if that's not in the works, you got to look at a veteran guy like Khalil Mack. I mean, he's still got some he only had 6 sacks last year, but 2 years ago he had 17 sacks. He's a guy that can still help stop the run and also provide some pressure and require other teams to use an extra blocker on him to help chip, which could free up some other your pass rushers. You can't kick the tires on Lawrence. He has some familiarity with Dan Quinn, obviously, from the Dallas Cowboys. He's 32 years old, but he's a big guy. He's actually strong against the run, and he still has some pass rush left in him if you can't get Khalil Mack. I do think they have to add another pass rusher somewhere. And then a wide receiver. You know, after T. Higgins, there's a couple guys with some injuries that you have to look at. My number one guy would be Chris Godwin. I think that adding him to the slot with Terry McLaurin would be ideal for the Washington Commanders. Obviously, we have to look at his injury history, too, and make sure we can get a full year out of him. But this guy's a dynamic player. He's great against zone. He's great against man. He's got great hands. He's very dependable when he's healthy, and he could really help Jaden Daniels in this Washington Commander offense because you can move him around a lot of different areas, and he can work nickels, he can work linebackers, and he's very efficient in his route running. So those are the top guys that I would look at if I was a Washington Commanders. Let's get some offensive line help for Jaden Daniels. We need an edge rusher. We need another receiver to go alongside Terry McLaurin. And obviously, any offensive line help would be great, but also a safety in the secondary, I think would go a long way in helping Marshawn Lattimore and Sainistril at the corner spot. I think they have to be aggressive. Number one, they have a lot of free agents on their team they have to address. So let's make sure we address the guys that we really like, that's good for our building, good for our culture, productive players that we think we can get more years out of that can help the football team. And then we have to address free agents from other teams. And then obviously we have to find out who's available. But I think they have to be aggressive because they don't want to go into the NFL draft having too many holes to fill. I expect them to get 3 or 4 good players out of the draft that can help their football team next year. But to get more than 3 or 4 is wishful thinking, in my opinion. So you have to address it via free agency in some way, shape, or form. At least attack a position where you don't have to go into the draft and say, well, we need a lineman, we need a defense lineman, we need a cornerback, we need a safety. We got to address some positions big time in free agency. I think an edge pass rusher to help their defense. I think Jaden Daniels is going to do very well offensively. They're going to score some points, so that means a pass rusher is at its premium for the Washington Commanders. I know Dante had a pretty good year last year, but I just think having a premier pass rusher would be obviously ideal. I think you can always bolster your offensive line too. So I think defensive line and offensive line, we saw what the Philadelphia Eagles did last year with those two units being dominant. Washington, in order to compete with Philadelphia, we better upgrade the offensive line so we can block Jalen Carter and those cats for the Eagles, and we better upgrade the defensive line so we can rush the passer against the Eagles' great offensive line.
In football, every game means more during the playoffs, and you can start your own personal playoffs on Underdog, where you could cash in on touchdowns, interceptions, yards, or more. All you have to do is pick higher or lower, and you could take home up to 1,000 times your money if you get your picks right. It's that simple. Millions of fans have already won billions of dollars making picks. Sign up for Underdog today using promo code POCKET, capital POCKET, and you'll get a free pick as a part of your first cash entry plus up to $1,000 in bonus cash when you deposit. Again, that's promo code POCKET.